Hello guys, welcome to the TikTok live. I'm thinking, depending on how we go for questions, maybe I can download this and re-upload this on YouTube. So there we go. Alright, we're gonna wait for some people to pop in. I'm gonna answer some questions. Move my shit around on my desk. So we've got some quiet time, everyone's out of the house, and we'll see how we go. Very bright. Guys, so ask me questions. Weight loss, weight training, let me know. Alright guys, whatever your questions are, weight loss, fat loss, weight training, nutrition, micronutrition. Well, it's probably a weird time for me to go live. Most people in the States are probably asleep. DJ, how does one lose weight if they are stressed from school/work and have no time to work out? So there's a misconception that you need to work out to lose weight. You don't have to. As long as your calories are low enough, you'll lose weight. If you literally laid in bed in a coma, but you did not get enough calories, you would lose weight. Now that may result into muscle loss, depends on how much body fat that you have, so I don't recommend that. You will have different times of your life where you're going to have different priorities. So if I have a client who is, they come to me and they're like, I want to lose weight, I'm dedicated, I'm ready to go. Let's say something happens in their life that is just demanding much more of their time. So work stress goes up, life stress goes up. Usually nutrition and training stress has to come down. There's only so much stress that you can handle in your life. Two ways you can fix it. So if it's obviously school and work, you just have to prioritize that first. If you're not at school, so people who just work a 9-to-5 job, if you have a shitty job, find another shitty job, because it's just not worth the mental health repercussions of having a crap job that you hate going to. So sometimes it's a lifestyle factor that you have to figure out. Sometimes it's also about just getting in the bare minimum and just going through the motions whilst you get that normal crap figured out. But you don't need to work out, even with regarding keeping your muscle, even 2 full body training sessions per week, just going maximum, 5 to 10 reps per set. So really training heavy is more than enough stimulus to keep muscle mass, as long as you're eating enough protein, obviously. But just know that everyone goes through phases like that. I've gone through phases like that. So obviously I'm currently going through rapid fat loss phase now. I did another rapid fat loss phase mid to late last year. And I tried multiple attempts of getting into another rapid fat loss phase, but I wasn't successful. For whatever reason, life just happened and I just wasn't able to stick to the calories. This time, it's been a smooth run. So I'm just gonna ride that wave for as long as it goes. Sabrina, what do you do when your female clients start losing hair? I've never had that before. I've had clients who have come to me who have had issues. So if you're really, really low in calories, it's going to be mostly just nutrition, so just not getting enough fat, enough protein in the diet. That can be a problem, which is why, in terms of importance, the most important macros is going to be your fat and your carbs. Your fat and your protein. Carbs are the least important. So as long as you get those two sorted and you literally just reduce your carbohydrates mostly, it shouldn't be an issue. It depends. It's only really more of an issue if you're really lean, but I've never had any clients lose their hair. It could also be an overall stress thing. Women tend to have more issues than men do in regards to like health, hormonal health and weight loss. Men are pretty straightforward, diet them down, you're good. Women have the whole menstrual cycle you have to worry about. It's a bit more of a complicated process. Shane, how are you, man? Been sticking to my calories, I'm not down, I'm staying the same. Should I lower carbs? Possibly. Going back to my previous question, protein and fat are the most important. Carbs are the one that you can probably reduce the most. So on my rapid fat loss phase, I'm almost like on a ketogenic diet without the intention of being on the keto diet. It's just mostly meat. Fats go along with that meat because red meat and eggs contain fat. So my fats end up around 60 to sometimes 70 per day. And my carbs are pretty minimal, anywhere from 50, maybe 100 on a higher day. But usually if people are on quite low calories and they're not losing at least centimeters off their waist or weight over the course of a 3-week time span, then it's usually an inaccuracy of tracking those calories or being consistent with tracking those calories. It always depends at what point you're in with your weight loss. And to give you an example, I'm on my rapid fat loss phase still this week, as technically as low as I can really keep my calories now, and my weight hasn't come down. So I just continue on. So it'll come down eventually, which is got to do what I got to do. The roach on the wall. Can't see any roach. Shoot me your questions, guys. And actually, to further that point on that last one, sometimes even when you think you're tracking calories meticulously, you're not. And it's always worth going back to basics and just getting a kitchen scale and just weighing and measuring absolutely everything. Anna, you're awesome. Thank you. Recently found you and binge watched your videos. Thank you for all the tips. Very helpful. You are most welcome. I try and make the content as evergreen as possible. Nothing's really ever going to change with most of the stuff that I say, unless there's new evidence that comes out that says there's another easier way to do something, or a better way. I've probably recently changed my stance a little bit on the protein intake. I am actually trying to aim a bit higher protein intake than what the standard science recommends. So the science and evidence recommends about 1.8 grams per kilogram. You can go a bit lower than that. I'm trying to actually just test it out and go a little bit higher with the protein. Haven't gone over 1400 for 2 days for the last 2 weeks, and weight's the same. I'll try lowering carbs. Also, Shane, make sure you're taking your waist measurements. If your waist measurements go down and your weight doesn't, perfect, doesn't matter. We're really only after measurement losses. We don't really care about weight. How long is a rapid fat loss phase? Then do you diet break and go back? It depends on how much fat you have to lose. So if you're obese, morbidly obese, you could go very low calories for quite a while. Obviously making sure you're getting your micronutrition and make sure that's on point. But if you're already fairly lean, you can probably do it in 4 to 6 week chunks. I'm on my 5th week. I will probably go 1 more week. Me personally, I'm trying to get my waist down to 84 centimeters. I want to see 84 before I stop my rapid fat loss phase, and then just go on a bit more of a moderate deficit. I think because I have a holiday coming up and I just want to try and get the fat off a bit faster. But it really depends on where you're starting from, your body fat percentage. Just started today, low deficit, not feeling hungry yet. Yep, you'll be very surprised. A lot of people cry about hunger. You'll actually be, I have almost next to no hunger on very low calories. And very low calories relative to my maintenance and what I can get away with. Have you have HPV? I have no idea what that means. Thanks, Shannon. Appreciate it. Show lower calories at 800 for faster fat loss. No, I wouldn't say so. You probably don't need to. Depends on your waist size. I would usually say 800 sort of at the lowest, like the lowest, fastest possible weight loss. And that's just to really ensure that you can get at least enough protein. But you can definitely lose weight on 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, 1,600. It's hard to say. Again, I would usually do this on a case by case basis with the client. Usually what I would do is I'd work out their maximum calories and then their minimum calories. And then the client themselves would find a happy medium in between those two that they're comfortable with. What if not losing weight anymore and stuck on a number? So plateaus are usually a couple of main reasons. It's number one, you're probably no longer sticking to those calories anymore, which is honestly 99% of the time. If I've ever had an issue with clients not losing any more weight or they've hit a plateau, it's usually sneaky foods sneaking somewhere. They're not tracking things like going out socially is really hard to track accurately. Sometimes you will still be losing fat, but you won't be losing weight. I'll give you an example. There's a client who I currently train at the moment, and he's had gastric sleeving surgery. So basically his stomach is like the size of like a quarter of a cup. He's on like, how many calories? It'd be close to 1,000 calories a day. And he's a big guy. He's over 150-ish kilos, I think, from memory. And his weight's been the same for about 4 weeks. And it is impossible for him to not be losing weight eating close to 1,000 calories a day. Impossible. So sometimes it's just a matter of, if you are super strict, and not strict as in like you're not eating good and bad foods type of strict, I mean just super militant with your calories, sometimes it's just a waiting game. And I actually had a gym member who I spoke to recently in my gym, and he said his weight's been stalled and he went up a bit in his weight, and I said to him, just the scale is testing you. It's pushing your buttons, it's trying to get you to break. Think of it that way. The scale is in a shit mood today and it wants you to break. Stick to the calories. Calories do not lie. People lie. Calories do not. So just ride it out. Just like when you have really good weeks, some weeks you'll just not have good weeks. But it will eventually drop. It has to. It physically is impossible not to drop eventually. Also, I recommend taking your measurements. Hello, how can I remain at 49 kilogram weight for my competition? I ate a lot in holidays and now 52. I would highly suggest that you don't eat a lot on your holidays. And it depends on what type of competition you're going for as well. So it's a bit hard to give very specific advice for that. There is going to be some normal amount of weight fluctuation from your base point anyway. So like if you normally sit at 50 kilos, if you eat a little bit more than usual, above your maintenance, you'll gain some fat. It's just how it is. It's just if you spend more money on your credit card than you earn, you'll accumulate debt. It's just a fact. To pay it off, you just have to go lower in your spend for a while to pay off that debt. Credit card debt and fat loss are exactly the same. Juliana, great advice. Thank you. Do you ever find the need to repair new clients' metabolism before bringing them up to... absolutely not. A broken metabolism is complete garbage, and you do not need to reverse diet at all. It is completely a waste of time and a waste of money. You simply need to figure out what someone's client, so for example, if I have a client who comes to me and they're like, I've been eating 1,000 calories a day, I'm not losing weight, and they're like, I want to pay you for coaching, Shannon, help me. I would take their stats, plug them in to my method, and say, this is your calorie range, upper limit, lower limit. Track your calories meticulously. And if people, and I'll give you another scenario. I had a client who I trained probably for about 2 months. And for the first month, he didn't lose any centimeters or any weight. And he wanted rapid fat loss. So he was on 1,200 calories a day, high protein. That's what he wanted. So I said, okay, we'll do it. and he was not losing any weight for the first month. And he really said to me, I promise I'm on 1200 calories. I swear I'm doing it. So what we did is we auto-regulated his meals for 1 month. The following month after that, I said to him, go and purchase pre-done meals that are done for you and stick to the same calories. So basically he had breakfast, which was a protein shake and a piece of fruit. He'd have 2 other meals, which were 500 calories each, and they were pre-done, like a muscle chef, or like a lean cuisine, but the fitness version. And within the first, it wasn't even a week, I think it was in the first 4 days, he had dropped like 2.5 kilos. Because it was pre-done, strict 1200 calories. As long as he doesn't eat anything outside of those meals, it's impossible for him to not lose weight. So for whatever reason, his 1200 calories that he was estimating was actually closer to 2400 calories per day, because he would have lost weight otherwise. And to this day, he still swears he was eating 1200, but clearly he wasn't. And it's not my job to point fingers and blame people. It's just my job to help figure out exactly what's going on. So you don't need to do any of that crap. It's all crap. And I'm going to show you, if you guys are following my rapid fat loss program, I'm going to basically go get abs lean. That's my goal for my holiday. And then once I get to abs lean, I'll just eat whatever I feel like during the holiday, and then I'll come back and I'll be eating at maintenance. So I'm trying to get as close to 10% body fat as I can, and then once I get there, I'll literally go back to maintenance, probably even a very small surplus the next day. And I'm documenting the whole process. So follow and subscribe and watch the whole process. What do you think about the 1 meal a day diet for teens? I probably wouldn't recommend it. If you're a teen, I would recommend, just your staple 2, 3, 4 meals per day at least. I probably wouldn't even recommend aggressive deficits as you're a teen. I was a very, very overweight teen, so I was morbidly obese. It was a different situation for me. The same principles still apply, but again, nutritious whole foods, meats, veggies, and fruits most of the time. The one thing that I have an issue with giving advice to teenagers, and yes, I know my content does talk about rapid fat loss protocols and very low calorie diets, etc. But people who are very young and they get into calorie counting, if you get into it with the wrong mind frame, you can end up with eating disorders. So you do have to be very self-aware when it comes to this type of thing. So if you just see one video and they're like, I eat 1 meal a day, because if you eat 2 meals a day, it's bad for you, that's a lie. You have to have a very objective mindset. Just understand it's just energy balance. Aim to eat like an adult, meats, veggies, and fruits most of the time. At least 2 to 3 I would recommend. Can body composition change before the scales do? Yes, so you can actually gain muscle and lose fat at the same rate, and your scale won't change at all, but your measurements will. I've had that happen with a couple of clients before. Thank you, that was helpful. You're welcome. Monday left me broken. Tuesday I was through with hoping. Just gotta keep going. Really tight on 1200 calories. What should I do? So nutrition quality makes a huge difference. So if you look at my very low calorie days, mine mostly is very high in nutrition, apart from my sugar in the morning with my coffee. I'll have that in the morning, and I'll usually do a training session. So all that glucose that goes into my body is usually expended in my training session anyway. Yes, a protein shake is processed. It's just an easy, cheap source of protein. Apart from those two main things, it's all whole foods. Mostly red meats, mostly eggs. I'll add some veggies in depending on how hungry I am or not. So, and even when you're on a 1200 calorie diet, being a female, you don't need as much protein as a guy does, but meats, veggies, and fruits. You're usually where people fall short in terms of feeling tired, lack of sleep, lack of quality sleep. 8 to 9 hours. Turn your phone off. Go to bed early. Get to sleep. I guarantee you'll feel better, 100%. 20 pounds of fat loss goal. Is it simply 2 pounds per week for 10 weeks? It could. Again, it depends on your starting point. If you're 300 pounds and you want to lose 20 pounds? Very much so. If you're already very lean, then you probably can't lose that much. Again, it always just depends on your starting point. Thanks for answering my question. Have you considered 24-hour fast? Yeah, I have the occasional fast every now and again. Usually my Sundays, I'll do a fast. So Sundays, I usually work from my desk, like in front of my computer where I am now, and I'll do client reviews, and that takes me sometimes 4 hours sending out videos for clients. So I'll usually just have coffee in the morning. Technically it's not a fast, but I won't have any substantial calories from food per se. And then by the time I'm finished, it's usually about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then by that time, it's almost dinner. So I just wait until dinner. I'll have my main meal, which is dinner. Potentially, you could go longer than that, but you don't have to. The best, if you are going to do any fasting, and again, I don't like giving advice to people who are underage, but people who are 18 and over, if you are doing fasting, a protein-sparing modified fast is probably your best bet for maintaining muscle and losing fat, because as long as you're getting enough protein in the day and it's spread out evenly through the day, that's a better option than just getting all of your calories in one meal. But again, it depends on how much body fat you have to lose. The more body fat you have, the less of these issues are going to arise. They tend to have more issues as you get leaner and leaner. The leaner you get, the more meticulous you have to be about when you eat, the amount of protein you're eating, quality of protein, that sort of stuff. When you have an abundance of body fat, fat is fat. It's stored energy. It'll come off with a calorie deficit. Excuse me, we'll have a quick sip. What's the minimum grams of fat you recommend for a woman during a fat loss phase? I'd say the lowest is about 20% of your total calories. However, usually you're wanting to aim for about 1 gram per kilogram of body weight per day, even more than that. But again, it depends how short you're doing if you're doing a rapid fat loss phase for a couple of weeks. If it's a couple of weeks, it doesn't really matter too much. If it's a much longer phase, if you're doing this over the course of a year, then you probably want to keep your fat a bit higher. I'm morbidly obese at 453. I'm sedentary too. How many calories do you recommend I start eating? Fit to fat Gabby. So Gab, I would, if you came to me as a client, I would basically suggest 50% of your maintenance calories. Now that may be low. Some people will look at that and they go, oh, what? Half of your maintenance, whatever your maintenance calories is, 50% of that. Lower, if you can get away with lower, go lower.